lecture. So, dear students, very good morning to you all. I welcome you all into the Industrial Pharmacy 2. Dear student, we were onto the regulatory affair, and in that, the topic of our discussion that was the clinical research bioequivalence studies, which we had studied in the last lecture. Almost we had finished this topic, but few slides has been left. So let's go through these few slides and then we will go for the today's lecture that is associated with the biostatistics in pharmaceutical sciences. So as far as the last lecture was concerned, so we were onto the particular slide which is there here. So that was dealing with that of the bioequivalence, and bioequivalence studies, these are nothing but the study of the two different formulations. While studying the bioequivalence, we said that there is a chemical equivalence, there is physical equivalence, there is a therapeutic equivalence, there is a pharmacological equivalence, isn't it? And there are different kinds of the bioequivalence studies, in vitro bioequivalence studies and the in vivo bioequivalence studies. As far as the in vivo bioequivalence studies are conducted in the usual manner as discussed for the bioavailability studies. That is, say, the pharmacokinetic and the pharmacodynamic methods. Now, in case of pharmacokinetic methods, the plasma level time studies will be performed and the urinary excretion studies that was carried out. In case of pharmacodynamic methods, the acute pharmacological responses, they will be studied, and the therapeutic responses. If none of the above criteria is applicable, comparative in vitro dissolution studies will sufficient. In vitro studies, that is say the dissolution studies, can be used in lieu of in vivo bioequivalence under certain circumstances called the bio waiver, or these are said to be the exemptions. Now, in case of in vitro bioequivalence studies, the drug product that will differs only in strength of the active substance it contains, and provided all the following conditions that will holds. Say like pharmacokinetics, that is linear, the qualitative composition is the same, and the ratio between the active substance and the excipients is the same. Or in the case of small strengths, the ratio between the excipients that will remain same. So that means the excipients, they will remain same. Both the products that are produced by the same manufacturer at the same production site. A bioavailability or the bioequivalence study has been performed with a original product. Under the same test conditions, the in vitro dissolution rate that will be the same. The drug product has been slightly reformulated or the manufacturing methods has been slightly modified by the original manufacturer in a way that can convincingly be argued to be irrelevant for the bioavailability. The drug product meets all of the following requirements. The product is in the form of solution or solubilized form like say the elixirs, syrup and the tinctures. The product that will contain the active ingredient in the same concentration as the approved drug product. The product that contains no excipients known to significantly affect absorption of the active ingredient. An acceptable IV/IVC in vitro in vivo concentration and the in vitro dissolution rate of the new product that is equivalent with that of the already approved medicinal product. Moreover, the product is intended for topical administration like say the creams, ointments and the gels which will produce the local effect, and the product is for oral administration but not intended to be absorbed like say the antacids or the radio opaque medium. Now, the product that is administered by the inhalation as a gas or a vapor, and the criteria for the drug products that is listed above indicate the bioavailability and the bioequivalence that is self-evident. Now, as far as this topic is concerned, we had referred the biopharmaceutics and the pharmacokinetic, that is treatise by Dr. Brahmankar and Sunil Jaiswal. Now let's come to the today's talk that is associated with that of the biostatistics. Biostatistics in pharmaceutical product development. Again, the topic that belongs to the regulatory affairs. So, what do you mean this, and what is the significance of this topic in case of pharmaceutical field? Now, statistics, if we see what the statistics is or why there is a need to have these statistics, why we need to apply it, although that is the mathematical part, we are the pharma people, what is the significance? Because it is said that if you are doing something and if you are representing it in terms of numbers, so that will indicate that you had done something. But if you are not doing something and if you are not representing anything, that means you had not done anything, right? Or although if you had done something and if you are unable to represent it in numerical way, in number form, so that is clearly indicating that you had not done something. So just in order to confirm and in order to give strength to your studies, there is a need to have the application of these statistical tools. Biostatistics is what biostatistic or statistics means, say, large number of data that will be available. The data can be obtained through the experiments, through the trials, isn't it? When we are talking about the pharmaceutical field, when we are talking about the biostatistics, biostatistics that is nothing but the application of the statistics in case of the biological experiments. Now, in pharma, we are doing several number of experiments. We are assuming some hypotheses. We are having some assumptions, and based on that assumptions, we are designing this study. And while designing this study, we are performing the experiments, and through these experiments, we are obtaining the data. Now, the data which is obtained, that should be analyzed, that should be managed, that should be represented in a proper way, right? So that management, representation and analysis of data, that is nothing but the study of statistics, right? Or the study of data, that is nothing but the statistic. Now when we are doing this when we are doing these experiments in case of the biological organisms, and when we are applying the statistical tools to that, the various tests like say the chi-square test, T's test, pair test, significance levels, right? So that means there is a bias statistics into that one, right? Because say there are a number of experiments which are going to be performed onto the different population of different factors for different products at different age groups in different routes, right? So just what we are confirming through the biostatistics or the what we are confirming through these statistical tools is that whatever the results has been obtained, whether the results that are truly obtained or these are just by chance, isn't it? Now, when we are talking about the clinical trial, when we are talking about the pharmaceutical products, these are related with that of the health of an individual, which is at its top, right? So there should not be any kind of chance. There should not be any kind of by luck, isn't it? So we should have proper proof, full proof that how we had obtained that one. because we are using these onto the human beings. And from ethical point of view, if we see, to have the by chance, that is not acceptable. So in order to confirm that whatever the results which has been obtained, that are true results and these are not just by chance. So that's why there is a great significance of these biostatistics in case of the pharmaceutical products and the development. Not only in product and development, but at several stages, say into the product development, say into the clinical trials, isn't it? Because this data has to be represented to the regulatory agencies, and based on these data only the regulatory agency they will give their approval. So it is having its significance at a number of levels. From commercial point of view also, if you see, there is a great significance of the biostatistics. So now let's move through the slides that we are having for this, where we will going to study that what the statistic is, what is its definition, what are the different aspects associated with that. Now, as I said that the statistics that is applicable everywhere, for what purpose it is applicable? It is applicable in order to understand the results. It is useful in order to decide if statistical methods that were appropriate and used properly. It will also decide if principles of experimental design that were employed or not. Because say the data which is obtained, how just we cannot go for creating a data unless and until we are applying some experimental designs. So the obtained data that will also ensure that the experimental studies that were employed and that was carried out. Biostatistics is the application of the statistics in the development and use of therapeutic drugs and devices in case of humans and the animals. What it is? It is the application study. It is the application subject. Application subject of what? It is the application subject of the development and use of therapeutic drugs and devices in case of the humans and the animals. Now, the people who are involved in analyzing and representing this data, these are said to be the statisticians. Statisticians often use the method of comparison. There is need to compare the data which is obtained from that of the animals, compare the data which is obtained from that of the human beings, compare the data which is obtained by one route, compare the data which is obtained by another route, right? So we want to know the effect of treatment, like say the sharp vaccine on a response, like say the getting polio vaccine. See the two different vaccines, right? Sharp vaccine and the polio vaccine. So how these are going to be responding to that one? We want to get the effect. And now in case of the COVID-19 also, there are a lot of data that is available, and this is going to be represented and this is going to be compared, and because of which day by day newer findings that are coming as far as the COVID-19 is also concerned. The finding which was available with us in March and the findings which are available with us in the month of October, these are totally different. And how it became to get these information, to obtain this information, how we came to the conclusion, the ultimate aim is to draw some conclusion, right? So the ultimate conclusion behind this is that the data that will give us some correct ideas, some ways, and some it will makes us to draw some conclusions. So we have to compare the responses of the treatment group with that of the control group. We should maintain the two different groups. The control group is the one which should not be treated, and the treatment group is the one which is said to be the experimental group. The pharmaceutical industries develop, produce, and markets drugs that are licensed for use as medications. The pharmaceutical companies are subject to a variety of laws and regulations regarding the patenting, testing, and the marketing of the drugs. Pharmaceutical statistics is the application of statistics to matters concerning to the pharmaceutical industry. What the pharmaceutical statistic is? Pharmaceutical statistic is the application of statistics to the matters concern the pharmaceutical industry. This can be from issues of design of experiments, right? It can be from designs of experiments to the analysis of the drug trials, that is it, the clinical trials, and to issue the commercialization of a medication, just by applying it to the regulatory agencies and getting approval in order to commercialize the product. Then the evaluation of the study of a drug. Let's say, for example, the effect of a caffeine on attention. How the caffeine that will improve the process of attention, right? It is the CNS stimulant, and as a result of which the attention that will be gained. So how it will? What is the effect of caffeine? How? So that can be performed onto the animals. The experiments can be performed, and through that, the study that can be carried out. Compare the analgesic effect of the plant extract versus the and the NSAID. We are having the NSAID. These are the synthetic compound. We can obtain some plant products and we can compare these plant products with that of the NSAIDs. NSAIDs that will be having the proven efficacy as far as the analgesic property is concerned. Now to explore whether the changes produced by the drugs are due to the action of a drug or by chance, right? So this is what is of great significance. What the changes, what the results, what the effect that we are obtaining, whether are just these by chance or because of the effect of the drugs. So in order to ensure that the designs can be performed, like say the randomized clinical trials, blind, double blind, single blind, isn't it? Various types of experimental designs that will be carried out in case of the clinical trial. To compare the action of two or more different drugs or the different dosage forms of the same drug, studies using these statistical methods. We can use the two different dosage forms of the same drug, or we can use the two different drugs with the same kind of the dosage form to find an association between disease and risk factors such as coronary artery disease and the smoking. What is the relation between smoking and how it will improve the process or aggravate the disease conditions of the coronary arteries? Just by applying this statistical truth, we can obtain the data, we can draw some conclusion. Public health, including epidemiology, health services research, nutrition, environmental health, and the healthcare policy and the management. So, in order to make up some policies and to manage the condition, the statistics that will play an important role. Design and analysis of the clinical trials in medicine, population genetics, and the statistical genetics in order to link variation in genotype with a variation in phenotype in biomedical research. This work can assist in finding candidates for gene alleles that can cause influence predisposition to disease in the human genetics. So this is the application of statistics in case of the genetics as far as the molecular, as far as the genetic level is concerned. Analysis of the genomic data. See, the genomes, they will be contain a huge amount of data, and today in when we are having the application of the bioinformatics, like say the application of information technology in case of the biology, the problem available with us is that we'll be having a huge amount of data, right? The big data is available, right? And it become very difficult to manage this data. We are having everything, but in order to retrieve that data when it is needed, so it is very difficult. So in such a case, again, the analysis, or in such a case, also again, the statistical tools that will play a significant role. Example from the microarray or the proteomics experiments, often concerning diseases or the at these stages. Because say the gene, the UCAG, that is the uracil, guanine, adenine, thymine. So all these are the what to say that the basic elements of the DNA, right? And there is a precise arrangement that will give one particular information that is said to be the genes and all. And how these genes are working and what are their effects that can be studied through these statistics. The systems biology for gene network interferences or the pathways analysis. Demographic studies like see the study of effect of the drug into the variety of demographic population, like say the study that is to be performed onto the different age groups, the study that is to be performed onto the different genders, the study that is to be performed onto the people with the different height, different body weight, different body mass index, right? And to compare the data related with all and to draw the conclusion onto that one. Epidemiology, that is the deficiency of iron in anemia, iodized salt and water, hygiene, and the microbial diseases. So all the statistics is applicable to everywhere. Now, if we see in case of pharmaceutical, there are different processes like say the product design and development, manufacturing development, and the continuous development. Now, at all these stages, you will going to find the usefulness of the statistical tools. There is a usefulness in case of the design of experiment, in case of the model building and evaluation, and the statistical process control. As far as the design building is concerned, the design of experiment is concerned, the initial scope, the product characterization and optimization, there the statistics will play an important role. In case of design development, again, in order to ensure the process optimization and its robustness, there is a tool which is available which is said to be the biostatistics, and it is useful in case of building, model building, and the evaluation. As far as the manufacturing development and continuous improvement is concerned, it is useful in order to develop the control system, to draw some predictions associated with the scale up, that is from that of the lab to that of the commercial scale, and some trackings and the trending. So all these, that is useful, and the statistical processes, they will controls all these things. The FDA, that is responsible for protecting the public health by assuring the safety, effectiveness, and security of human and the veterinary drugs, vaccines, and other biological products, medical devices, our nation's food supply, cosmetics, dietary supplement, and the product that will use of the radiation. So all these are going to be regulated by the FDA. And in order to get approval to all these, we need to provide the data, which is obtained through these statistical experiments. Now, the clinical trial protocol, again, it is the detailed document that describes the objectives, design, methodology, statistical considerations, and the organization of the trial. That already we saw in the previous lecture. The protocol usually also gives the background and the rationale for the trial, why we have particularly carried out the trials. The International Conference on the Harmonization, that is E9, that will prescribe the statistical principles for the clinical trials, and all important details of a clinical trial design and conduct and the principal features of its proposed statistical analysis should be clearly specified in a protocol written before the trial begins. Why? What is the significance? In order to avoid the bias, right? The term bias, that will describe the systematic tendency of any factors associated with the design, conduct, analysis, and interpretation of the results of clinical trial to make the estimate of a treatment effect deviate from its true value. So there should not be any deviation, and this bias need not to be there. The presence of a bias may seriously compromise the ability to draw valid conclusion from the clinical trial. So there are various experimental designs, hypothesis testing protocols, and the statistical analysis plan components. There is a statement of the hypothesis and assumptions, what the data will be collected, how often the data will be collected, what test of statistics and confidence level that will be used in case of the analysis. Now, there are various design techniques in order to avoid the bias. The most important design techniques for avoiding bias in clinical trials are the building and the blinding and the randomization. Most such trials follow a double-blind approach so that one involved in the conduct of a trial is aware of the specific treatment allocated to any particular subject, and randomization, that will introduces a deliberate element of chance into the assignment of treatment to subjects in a clinical trial. We know that the statistics is most likely not going to give us the exact value of the parameter, but we want to know if it is just due to chance or due to something else, right? So this is most important because what the results has been obtained, these are not accurate, these are not exactly, right? But how this has been obtained, whether this has been obtained by chance or by some another reason. So that is it because of drug or is it just by chance? There is a null hypothesis. This can be represented as H0. So H0, that is the observed difference, is due to chance. That means the mean of A, that is equal to mean of B, mean of treatment A, that is equal to mean of treatment B. Now when this is equal, then we can see that there is a null hypothesis which can be represented as H0. Alternative hypothesis, that is the HA that will represent the altered hypothesis, and it is the observed difference is real. So that means the mean of treatment of A, that is not equal to that of the mean of treatment of B. So because there is a observed difference, there is no null hypothesis. There is an alternate hypothesis. Test statistics, that is the TS. So numerical calculation, these are used to measure the difference between the observed and the expected. So as defined by H0 in our previous slide. So rejection region RR, that will sets the acceptable range of TS, that is the test statistics, based on the alpha sample size and the distribution. Now, in case of statistic, we will going to find the deviations. Deviation, that is nothing but the range of acceptable, isn't it? While studying the tablet, while studying the capsule also, in order to ensure the weight variation test, we used to follow certain standard deviations, say plus minus 5%, 7.5%, or the 10%, isn't it? So that is the range which is given, and if the results are in that particular range, then these results, these observations, they can be uh, accepted. So in conclusion, if you see the TS, that is the outside of the RR, then reject the H0 and accept the HA. If TS is not outside the RR, then cannot reject the H0. Now we do not accept the H0 because the H0 may really be false, but we must live with it until we can disprove it. So here you can see there is a H0. Now H0 is true, H0 is false, reject H0 and don't reject H0. If H0 is true, then don't reject the H0, that means that is okay. If H0 is false, then we have to reject H0, so that is correct. And except these two, there are conditions that are associated with the errors. So the probability of type 1 error and type 2 error, if you see, the type 1 error, that is equal to alpha, and then there is a practical difference. Say there is a difference when there is it, and there is a beta, beta is equal to practical. Say there is not a difference when there is. So alpha is set prior to analysis. Alpha is equal to 0.05 is a typical. So that is the probability. And alpha will be increased by multiple comparisons interim analysis. So power is equal to 1 minus beta. So power is greater than 0.80 is typical. So beta is affected by standard deviation and sample size and the size of the difference that you are trying to detect. So this is just what they are explaining is that how we have to apply the statistical tools in order to draw a particular conclusion. Then there is a most widely used value which is said to be the p-value. Now this p-value is what? The p-value, that is nothing but the probability, that is nothing but the chances of occurrence. The probability of getting a value further away from the population parameter than the sample statistic. Now here particularly what we are doing, we are determining the significance level. Now if p-value is less, then reject H0 and say that there is a difference. And if p-value is more than alpha, then cannot reject the H0 and should state that there is insufficient evidence to say that there is a difference. The post-study power that should be calculated and want the power more than that of the 0.8 to avoid the CAT2 errors. So experimental designs, if you see, there are pre-experimental evaluation of the potential outcomes, design objective, quantity, quantify the objective, decide on active control, placebo control, and the historical controls. Then there is a need to estimate the variability, that is the standard deviations. Now, estimate the variability, then perform the study design, the various software that are going to be used, alpha, power, and the treatment groups, then the delta, that is the how far apart the two groups they can get, they are declared as a different. Now, where were the samples randomly drawn? Was the study designed properly? Were enough patients that were studied? Were the proper methods of analysis used? So all these need to be performed, and all these that can be obtained in order to perform the study. Next, when the designing an experiment, that will be ensured, that will be sure to define and quantify the objective, to use the random sampling, to apply the appropriate study designs, and to apply the proper methods of the analysis. So the statistics that will be having the great application in case of pharmaceutical, right from the raw material selection, production, and processing and evaluation, performing clinical trial, and when the product that will reaches to the market, then also the statistics that will play a significant role. Just basically what we want to understand is that what the results has been obtained, or if we are performing something, or when we are performing some experiment, then that should be properly represented, that should be properly represented in terms of numbers. So when the value that will comes in terms of numbers, that means it will clearly indicate and it will give strength that we had actually performed or we had actually carried out. Just by saying that we had performed this, we had performed that, the work will not come. There is need to have the full proof. There is need to have some numerical values to that one. So with this, today we will stop here only, and these are the references that we had used for this particular lecture.